this year we're going to be doing things a little bit differently. Because my reading might be very spread out, and not to forget about what I read at the very beginning of the month, which is totally bad to say, but if something awesome takes full brain power, then some other things might get forgotten. And also just how long it takes to read things. So this year I will be filming clips per time I finish the book. For example, I finished The Storm by Rachel Hawkins that comes out today, which I need to finish the review. I have not read anything hardly. Well, no, I was writing stuff as I was reading it. I was doing my daily little updates. So things I like about this book that I like about most of her thrillers, though, is the mixed media aspect, which probably works a lot better in paperback format than it does on ebook, because an ebook is just mostly italicized, but I think in physical it can look a bit better. The main character of this book, though, is Geneva Chambers. I don't remember her last name. She is running the Rosalie Inn, though, that has been in her family for generations. She took over from her mom after her mom got diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's, and her boyfriend at the time, who she'd been dating for like a decade, told her, yes, let's go be innkeepers. This would be amazing. I'm tired of the corporate grind here, because I think they were in Atlanta, and let's go to your hometown that is this beach town famous for strong hurricanes and the Rosalie Inn that they run being the only thing that survives pretty much untouched every time when people are dying, and the murder that happened in Hurricane Marie in 1984. So they go. The boyfriend lasts like a year, then he moves to California and says, I just can't do this, it's too hard. Leaves her in tons of debt and stressed up to her eyeballs trying to run the inn by herself. And of course, caring about her mom, being that they had to put her in a home. Yeah, it degraded very quickly. It doesn't seem like her mom is verbal at all or responsive at all. This murder, though, that happened in 1984, the woman accused of murdering the governor's son, who was supposed to be running for the mayor of Mobile at the time. His father's plan was to have on track to be a senator and even the president. Well, the 19-year-old mistress that murdered him was Lo Bailey. While Geneva is struggling to run the inn and get bookings for the inn, she receives an email from August Fletcher, a journalist and writer who is going to be writing about the hurricanes and the fantastical murder that happened there in the 80s, and who is going to come stay with him in town to get, the local color and local perspectives on stuff. None other than Lo Bailey herself. And events. Each of the chapters will have like a date on it, and it'll say something days until. So you're getting this countdown feel. You get the mixed media aspect, which has different articles from different places. Sometimes it's diary entries from Lo herself, or letters between Lo and Landon, which is the one that got murdered, or Landon and somebody else. There was a few chapters as well from two other perspectives. Besides just the diary entries, and the chapters with days until, you also get sent back in time to Hurricane Delphine in the 60s. Delphine was the 50s. Audrey was either early 70s or 60s, late 60s, and Velma, which was definitely in the 70s, and Marie in 1984, and then Hurricane Lizzie in 2025. So you get different persons' point of views too during these different sections. So all the pieces are coming together. Some things are very, very obvious quite early on, but some things don't turn out quite the way you expected them to. The end scenario, though, that was different. I did not quite expect that. It also didn't quite make 100% sense there, but whatever. And one of the things revealed in the very final chapter also was like, that was just silly. Overall, it was still a decent thriller. They are becoming a bit predictable, though, I think, which is sad. I do like her writing style and the way she lays things out, but I haven't run it through Copal because I'm still setting up my spreadsheets for this year of how I'm going to do things. So once I do that, I guess I'll try to remember to update after I finish the next book. We are done. This is definitely book one. That was Detour by Rob Hart and Jeff Rake. And it did also say that he pitched Detour as a TV show first. And they're like, this is really cool. You should actually write a book first before we try to do a show. And so they did. And you could feel that at some points in the pacing ways that it worked. Detour, though, follows a group of astronauts on the first manned mission to Titan aboard the Star Blazer, which is really cool, and it has like artificial gravity in some parts, and thanks to the ion drives that have recently been developed by billionaire John Ward, who also built the ship, it only took a year to get to Titan, and then they circle around and another year to get back. You were first introduced, though, to John Ward. You will see from him as well, as he's running for president. There were 3 actual astronauts, but you're not introduced to them till chapter 2. In the first chapter, though, you have John Ward, some media articles, some dark web / maybe Reddit posts, mostly dark web posts, I think. Then you are also introduced to Padma, who is an astrophysicist / what else is she? Something else. She works for John, though. It was actually her idea to just try to do the settlement on Titan versus Mars, because Titan has gravity, or possibly an atmosphere that humans can survive in. All the, it's much more hospitable than trying to completely do Mars to be okay for us. Terraform, that's the word I'm looking for. They did a lottery system to pick one random person to go. They thought this would drum up publicity, help with Ward's presidential candidacy. It kind of backfired on them. It didn't help his poll numbers, and the person picked, he was so disappointed in, because they're a tagger. Courtney Smith, also known as Stitch. And everybody's like, oh, great. Yay. The astronauts themselves are like, yay, 3 civilians to have to look out for in space. Well, one of them is. The other 2 are more okay with it. And then the final spot was supposed to be Ward's. Then he was almost assassinated after this press conference announcing the Titan mission. But thankfully, Ryan Crane, an off-duty DC police officer, spotted what was about to happen and tackled the gunman before he could. And thus, the idea bloomed in Ward's mind to give Ryan the opportunity to go to space. So in the first chapter, it's just introducing you to those 3. The second chapter is kind of like their training a little bit, but you're introduced to the 3 astronauts in the second chapter, which would be Mike Seaver, Della Jamieson, and those are the 2 older ones. They've both been astronauts for like 20 plus years, and Alonzo Karst, I can't remember his last name. It starts with a C. He is noted as the youngest astronaut to ever be able to fly a mission, join the program. So prodigy, hotshot, things like that. But he's like the sweetest. He's just the sweetest. Between him and Della, they're like the peace brokers and stuff, and Della's like kind of the mission mom and stuff. But each of these people have something in their personal lives that was something that they struggled with or had a decision that's like was something. For Mike, he's kind of an alcoholic. Della is her ex and issues there with whether or not to let him be part of their twin girls' lives because her own dad was kind of a crappy one. So trying to figure out like that situation. For Alonzo, it is his own relationship and struggles with himself. Padma, I'm not still entirely sure even at the end what it was that was her thing. And then for Ryan, is something that happened kind of early on in his cop career that got him ostracized by everyone else, which is mentioned a lot in the first chapter, kind of. At least I feel like it was a lot. But it doesn't tell you what it was until way later on. Just kept bringing it up, but not explaining it. And that was annoying. Okay, so they all have these things. And then you're still seeing from Ward every now and then. And also, we got to see from his assistant, Camilla, all 6 people brought together, Johnson Space Center, and they are training in VR headsets, and they're not working as a team very well, so they have to have a team bonding exercise thing. See where I say it was pitched, you could tell maybe it would work as a show better, because it has some of these elements that, which, though it did work really fun kind of as a book too, I feel like we don't see some of these things that this it does make it feel more real in that regards. The back of the book description does tell you that there was a little hiccup in space, but they all returned home as heroes. But things aren't quite as they left them. And they're home with their families. In their homes, right? And you can see the writing on the walls pretty clearly, but of course the book has to play it out a little bit longer before they start putting the pieces together. And yeah, there was one more thing that has yet to be explained how that took place. And you end the book the same way you started the book, with a piece of the Thwaites Glacier falling off. It happened in our astronaut's point of view at the very beginning of the book, and then it happens at the end of the book, and yet it's described exactly the same, except because they did comment on when that's a spoiler. I can't say that. Okay, so overall it was a very interesting book. I liked what it was talking about. I liked the theme of it. It would totally make a cool show. Like, I'm comparing the book to a show, and I don't know if I like that aspect of it, though. Like, I shouldn't be comparing it or talking about it like it's already a show, because it's a book. So we're supposed to be more than that. I don't like one of the aspects for sure, but we'll see. Will I read book 2 whenever it's finally released? I mean, maybe, if I remember. Because it had cool aspects, and I did love getting to see through all the characters. I really liked some of our characters. I don't know what we're going to rate it yet. I hope I didn't talk about this one too long. I felt like I didn't give you enough with the storm. Also, like, that was brief. I didn't tell much about it. I wanted to do better this time, and we'll see how it went. I can't believe that halfway through the month, I have actually managed to finish 3 books. Very proud of myself for that, though. I did not think I would even be able to read 3 whole books, but it could be because the first 2 were shorter, and I was on a time crunch, so it was really trying to focus on those more than possibly I should have been. And then this one was all an audiobook, and that would be Blood Rites by Jim Butcher, is book 6 in the Dresden Files. And this one is kind of a lot like the first one, where we were more into a case versus more wider magical world. The Dresden Files is, of course, still following Harry Dresden, Chicago's only professional wizard, who is kind of a investigator for hire, as well as he works with the police on special investigations involving the magical community, or he is hired by a client to do something, as he was in this one. He was actually told about this case by his friend Thomas, who is a vampire of the White Court, because in this urban fantasy world, vampires have 3 different courts that they're separated into, and each of the courts control a different sort of magic, like they're a different type of vampire. So Thomas told him about a friend of his that is having issues on his movie set where people keep dying. Women in particular keep dying. And so he says, Harry, can you please do me this favor and go help my friend and, save these people from dying. Of course, you're going to get paid, though. You will get paid for this. So Harry agrees. It is an adult film set. And it's very funny, though, to watch Harry go through this. His humor, it's not for everyone. I get that. And definitely in certain situations, it comes out more than I feel like it probably should have. But I can also get that he's doing it just a nervous tick, kind of. So the humor comes out more at things, and it was more focused on this investigation, but it did divide kind of into 2 sort of storylines. And just watching him go through this, he finds out some things, some personal life things, because Harry has been an orphan his whole life. His mom died in childbirth. It says what happened to his dad, but I don't remember anymore. Now that we're 6 books in and there's been such a long gap from the first few, I don't remember what happened to his dad. And he finds out some things about 2 different people in his life that makes him see them differently and makes dramas. I had to go back and re-listen after I finished. I went back and re-listened to his chapter with Ebenezer to see if he'd said about this other thing, and he didn't. And it does make me question, because Harry kind of threw him out, and I was like, well, why didn't you ask? He realized that he knew all of these things. You didn't ask if he knew about this other thing you found out. I would have asked. I would have been like, did you know this, and keep it from me. But at the same point, I feel like he might have known, but knowing how much Harry wanted family as well, and considered Ebenezer kind of family and stuff, I kind of also feel like he might have told him. So I feel it's hard to say. So a lot kind of happened. It was kind of a blur. At the beginning, you're thrown right in to Harry on a separate case. He's already in the middle of a case, wrapping it up, and he's running through a school carrying a box full of puppies. So, oh my gosh, that's all I really remember from the beginning, is Harry saving puppies from monkey demons in flaming poo. And it was a fun book. It was a fun book. Do I remember a whole lot sometimes? No. We're going to go dive into the next book now. Guys, it has been quite a minute since we finished a book. There was things, but I did read and finish Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. Actually, I listened to it, and that was great. The audiobook narrator was pretty good. And okay, so must admit that maybe I didn't sink in the information all that great. Yeah. I think Copile still said it was like a 4, because I enjoyed it. I don't know that I fully remembered the story or engaged with the story, but that's kind of okay, I think. At least it feels like I'm wanting to read again, not just having it on and dissociating. You're following Kel, who is from Red London, because in this book, there are multiple different Londons, and they're called Red London, White London, Grey London, and then the lost Black London, because Black London let itself be consumed by magic. And the other ones, instead of being connected through doorways, they close themselves off, so only special people who have the special ability can actually travel to the different Londons. Our main character, Kel, is one of two such people. Two. Let's go ahead and put that in parentheses. Because Grey London has no magic anymore. They've lost pretty much all magic. Nobody even remembers it anymore, even though it was only like 300 years ago. Why there are, folk tales and such of magics, because Grey London, I'm pretty sure, is supposed to be like us. Also, this is a historical type fantasy. I did not know that. Set in London, obviously, but in like the 1800s. And from Grey London is where we meet our second character, Lila Bard, who seems quite average and ordinary, a thief of only 19 years. And she's been on her own for several years and very, crafty, cutthroat. She's a very good pickpocket. Kel, though, you find out actually all these Londons and the color names, except for Black London, he pretty much came up with this color scheme to keep them all straight in his head. Who knows what the other people call them, if they even call them things. Where's the cat? So Kel is a traveler. He works or lives with the monarchs of the Red London. Their family kind of took him in. He says they own him. They treat him like their son, the prince, and the prince considers him a brother. Though there was a thing later on where you can see that maybe he isn't quite family to the king and queen as much as they want him to think of them as his parents. So, there's that. And all the people consider him the black-eyed prince. Kel works for them, traveling between the realms, taking the messages to the other monarchs because only the monarchs are supposed to know about the other Londons and keep the communication lines open. But he has kind of sticky fingers himself. Only trinkets, though. He likes to bring trinkets from the other Londons, though that is very illegal. And his brother, the prince, says this will get you in trouble one day. This will come back to bite you. And it does along those lines. And then he runs into Lila after very bad circumstances has happened to him. And she just thinks he's a drunk and she picks his pocket. And she takes something of immense power from him. And thus she gets sucked into this tale. And she gets to get out of her London and go across the realms. And this, of course, is going to be a trilogy. The story, though, does wrap up wonderfully. If this was a standalone, it would still make sense. There are enough threads open, though, to keep the story going, but actually the antagonist of this story, the story arc itself, concluded very well. Then there's something hinted to. I think it's going to turn out to be that thing, so we'll have to see in the next book. I actually feel like I did remember quite a bit more than what I thought I would have. I would have updated this yesterday because I finished the book Monday, but my dentist appointment was in the morning and I couldn't feel this side of my face for most of the day until it was time to pick the kids up, and then it was kind of too late. Yesterday, I started The Enchanted Greenhouse by Sarah Beth Thirst, and that is going adorably. I love the audiobook narrator, so that's great. And I'm also have my physical copy and doing the both, and I'm having fun with it. It's going really well. So hopefully we'll finish that, update you, and then maybe at least finish book 1 of Gardens of the Moon. I also think I might give up on the audiobook for Gardens of the Moon because I think I don't like the narrator voice. Maybe he's too droll. I'm not sure. He reminded me so much of the guy who narrated The Witcher, but yet they're not the same guy. I looked it up to make sure. And I mean, I didn't hate the guy who narrated The Witcher. It's making that association in my brain with the story of The Witcher, which I didn't really like. So I think that's the problem. Okay, and I hope that all of this is going to clip together well. I feel like it's going to be a really long wrap up and then people won't like it. And then I have to film an actual wrap up. I'm starving and I need to go edit the TBR video together. So it is the last night of the month, and we finally finished the last book of the month to talk about here. So speaking to the microphone directly, so, it's nice and loud and really balanced audio here. The Enchanted Greenhouse by Sarah Beth Durst. It was cute. It was cozy. And it even had a who hurt you moment. Like, what? I did not expect that from this. I mean, it wasn't in the growly kind of way, but he was so sweet about it. He was actually kind of responding to the way that she was so self-conscious, thinking that he wouldn't like her because she was being too much because she couldn't stop talking, or wanting to be like his friend kind of even, and just not even knowing if that was okay with him and how much she was talking. And when she kind of hinted at that, you can tell me if I'm too much, if other people have. And then he took a moment. He's like, who hurt you? In those exact words. And I'm like, wow, did not expect that from this book. Okay, so The Enchanted Greenhouse is in the same world as her other book, The Spell Shop, following completely new characters, but another librarian who we did hear about briefly in the first book. She was a wooden statue in the Great Library of Elysium, and it was said that she was sentenced to be a statue because she created a sentient spider plant Kaz from the first book, and only sorcerers were allowed to use magic by imperial decree. And this is taking place after the first book, so after the Empire has, revolutionized and fallen. All of that has already happened. The first chapter, though, might not even be the whole first chapter. It might just be the beginning of the first chapter. It is before her sentencing, so you do meet her at her trial and everything as she's kind of realizing what's going to happen, and you realize she did this because she was just so lonely. She's such a people person, and she was just so lonely at the library. She couldn't find anybody to connect with and be friends with, and that's the whole, she thinks she's too much from situations like that. I'm not still sure how the letter got to the librarian lady, the head librarian. He said Yarrow, who's the gardener on Beld, I think that's the island name, which says the Enchanted Greenhouse there, had sent a letter to Elysium requesting a sorcerer's aid to help the greenhouses there that were made by a sorcerer who had died. And so he needed help because all the greenhouse's magic was failing. And thus, the letter bounced around. The librarian took advantage of that and saved Terraloo, our main character, by sending her statue there with the spell to de-statuify her. Chaos kind of ensues there because she's not what he thought she was. He thought she was a sorceress. Why she would be trapped in a statue as an actual sorcerer? I guess he figured a misdone spell. It happens. For some reason, he didn't, worry that, oh my goodness, she'll kill my whole greenhouses because she turned herself into a statue. He thought she was a sorcerer. She was going to save his greenhouse. She promptly informed him that no, she was not a sorcerer, and no, she didn't do magic. She learned her lesson. And yes, grumpiness ensued. But slowly, they get to work together. They get to solve the mystery of what's happening, and it's all cute, and it's all cozy, and I just love how she's still so positive, and she's still so friendly. Yes, she still has a lot of self-doubt, and she worries so much about what she's doing because she just wants to have a purpose in life. She wants to be able to help things. So she wants to save the greenhouses, even though she's so afraid that she'll get turned into a statue again because she doesn't know about the revolution. And are we saying some spoilers? Yes. Yes, we are. Have we been saying spoilers through this video, though? I don't remember anymore, as this has been going all month. Who knows? Yes, I haven't put it through Copal yet to know. Probably it's still going to be in the 4 stars. I really enjoyed it, and I loved the audiobook narrator. I loved her. She did a wonderful job. And I am caught up in the series, and I read this at one of the coldest points of the year. It was 25 degrees outside today, and I had to run to get a prescription and milk, and I thought the wind was going to kill me. Some people were lucky enough to at least get snow with their frigid temperatures. January, though, it's done. We got way more read than I thought we would. Oh, if this is going to be the wrap-up, I guess I need to talk about the other one. Never mind, I'll be back. Okay, as you might can tell, I'm actually trying to film this standing too, because I didn't want to drag a chair in here. The other book that we started, that we did not finish, and we didn't DNF. Okay, so Gardens of the Moon by Stephen Erickson. I didn't even finish the first book because it's divided into 7 books. This is divided into 7 books, and the first book is only 158 pages. I didn't even finish the first book. I haven't picked this up in over a week. And I think it's the audiobook narrator. Did I say that with the Shades of Magic clip? I think I might have mentioned that on that clip too. I don't know. But I haven't tried again. I haven't even tried to pick it up to physically read it with my eyeballs because this is not the size formatting I would have picked if I was just going to physically read it with my eyeballs. Especially considering some of it's already like, ugh. I don't know. I don't know what it was either. And oh my God, I stopped in the middle of a chapter. What was happening in my brain? I could not really connect into the story, and I don't know why. I know we were following a young noble who's from like a merchant family though, like his family's in the merchant business, and that he wanted to go and do the military thing and be a proud thing. I mean, that was his plan from when he was really little. But then, like right before he would have been starting this, I guess, in his teenage years, somebody very high up near the emperor took over and became the empress and just continued on with the war over the continent, and they've been at war, and she's been killing off this elite group of people that followed the emperor. And I'm a little bit confused because at one point also it said magic was outlawed, but then they have a group, like a regiment of sorcerers. So is it okay if they're in the army? That's cool, but not in the army was illegal, or is it no longer illegal? And also they're chasing down this thing that happened that's wiping out peoples and plagues, and you're seeing also kind of from that, and I don't know who those people are. I mean, you're probably not supposed to know who these people are yet, but it's just, I don't know what to do about this. I'm going to keep reading it. It's still on my February TBR. We're going to keep slowly pushing through, and I guess not with the audio, which is really hard and annoying with fantasy names then. Okay, we've obviously started rambling off into side tangents, so let's just not go there. My only 2 physical books, which is probably a lot like how February is going to look. I know in the thumbnails, they're very equivalent of not holding up physical books because I have a lot of ebooks or audiobooks or things or arcs that aren't even out yet. And also my library is apparently closed for renovation, so I'm not even sure how I'm going to get 2 of the books yet. I don't know. It's going to be an interesting time. I would love to know what you guys managed to get read in January. I got a lot more read than I thought I was going to. That is for sure. We will see how February plays out. Still some very anticipated reads coming up, and I just hope that you all are staying really warm and having a great day, and I will see you in the next one.